This is Tape Swap Radio. Shamus McGroggan here. Today we have Chris Devlin with us from Headzo. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Shamus. Thanks for having me.
And Chris, Headzo is your current band, but you've also been in the Lehigh Valley scene for over 20 years now, right?
Yes, proud member of the Lehigh Valley scene. Veteran member.
For sure. And we want to bring you in and talk about some of the bands and projects you've been involved in and some of the memories that you have. Because one of the things that we love to do is go back and talk about some of the shows, some of the bands and different things that made the Lehigh Valley scene what it is today. Let's start in the year 2000. And in the year 2000, you started a band called No Cash, right?
Yes, I did.
So No Cash, was this a group of friends you had?
Yeah, just skate buddies who happened to play the right instruments and just started making noise in the basements and garages, and one thing led to another. Before we knew it, within just a few months, we're playing CBGBs.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
A quick progression.
It really was. Maybe a little too quick. At that age, we were only like 15, 16 years old.
Wow.
You're just already pretty wild, and then you're thrust into a situation like that, playing these wild shows all over, Lehigh Valley, New York City, Philadelphia. It was a great area and a great time to come up playing in a punk band.
Yeah, so you say a punk band. So what types of influences did you have for that band?
Well, we played like a kind of a ska punk style, but I was like a screamer, kind of like a growler, not like a nice, smooth-voiced singer. I was more of like a grindcore vocalist in a ska punk band.
Gotcha.
Really fast, really angry, but also melodic. Like, we loved all the poppy stuff, and that was a big influence for us.
Playing around the Lehigh Valley specifically, were there certain venues or places that you played when you were first starting out that gave you your start?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So our first show was at a place called the Egypt Firehall, and we played with a band called Violent Society, which was they were kind of a name in the scene, like a street punk band. So that was a pretty good first gig for us. And it was a venue I had been to before. There was a dude at the time named Jordan Hollander who played in a band called Government Satire. And he put on all these shows. And I had befriended him and passed him a demo tape at some point. One thing led to another. And we're playing our first show within probably a month of being a band. And it was cool, like I found a picture of myself. One of my softball buddies who was in the scene at the time sent me some pictures. I hadn't seen these before, so it was pretty cool to see like nearly more than a quarter century old photo. And I'm already like laying on the floor playing a guitar solo, so I wasn't shy on stage. And that was good because then our second show was that CBGB show that I mentioned, which was only 2 months later.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Show number 2 is
Yeah.
progressing up to CBGB's.
Yeah, it was sold out too. It was pretty wild. And I remember not feeling nervous at all, just so young and cocky. You know what I mean?
Did they put you on a bill with anybody there?
Yeah, we played pretty stacked bill. It was Leftover Crack, Indie K, Molotov Cocktail, MDC might have been on the bill. Like, that was how bills were back then. It was nuts. It would be like 7, 8 bands, and you hang out all evening, all night.
Yeah.
Just
Wow.
rocking out. Yeah, it was a good time.
That's crazy. And
Yeah.
did you run into any of the other bands before they played while you were at the venue?
I felt like, back then I just wasn't shy, and I would just say hi and, probably make a fool of myself in front of anybody, and just, yeah, it's kind of arrogant and youthful. And yeah, so any band member, trying to introduce myself and seem cool,
Okay, so you're probably, saying hi to whoever you could.
For sure. Yeah. I don't think I met, what's the dude's name who started CBGB's?
Was it Hilly Crystal?
Hilly, that's it. Yeah, I did not meet him.
Not meet Hilly.
No, that would have been cool though. The story of that venue is very interesting, and I was glad to be, able to play that. It's like a legendary venue, before it shut down, and now it's just some lame clothing boutique or something.
Yeah, and I believe MDC came to the Lehigh Valley last year and played a show at National Sokals, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, those guys have been doing it forever. I think they were playing for like 20 years by the time we played with them. Mm-hmm. So you're talking like 40 years as a band.
Still going.
Yeah, there's going to be billions of dead cops soon. BDC.
So No Cash is playing, and one of the venues around here in the Lehigh Valley that you would play would be the Pirates Cove.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me about the Pirates Cove. What was that?
So I had mentioned Jordan Hollander from Government Satire. Pirates Cove was his house, but more specifically the basement. And they just did, I feel like, probably 100 shows there, maybe more in the time that they were living there. It was over by, I don't want to name drop any corporations, so I'll just say sort of where Route 22 meets 100, like out past Dorney Park. Mm-hmm. That name I can say. I feel fine about that.
Sure.
Brookside Road. Brookside Road.
Okay.
Yeah, I always thought it was Allentown, but I was messaging Chris Reject from Lehigh Valley Apparel Creations today, because he's definitely a Lehigh Valley punk rock historian of the time. So I knew he would jog my memory.
So Pirates Cove, it was a house, right?
Yes, it was.
So it was Jordan's house.
It was Jordan, I think, and whoever else lived there. And they were all like, they were punks, but they were more like hippie punks. They were vegan and really like hardcore about it. Environmentalists. Like I remember they had a sign in their bathroom like advising not to flush the toilet if it was just liquid, to conserve water. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not really gonna follow that guideline. But I broke a lot of rules in those days. All right. Flushing the toilet at the Pirates Cove was one of them. Yeah, those were just wild times. Like everybody had a band and we were all friends, and No Cash were a bit of like outcasts, but accepted at the same time, because they were all from Allentown. Bands like Defiant Trespass, Robot Attack, who the drummer of which is now in Slingshot, Dakota.
Right, Tom.
Which is a great local band. Yep. So we all like kind of brushed shoulders back in the day. They knew each other. They knew one another a little better. And No Cash, we were sort of like, like I said, kind of outsiders from Nazareth. We called it Nazo back then, and they all kind of thought we were crazy, but they let us come hang and play too. So that was one place you could see shows. But there was just a lot going on at the time. That was back when Double Decker Records was still on the corner, on the bridge side of the street. Now it's not there at all.
Right.
But we used to do shows at Double Decker Records.
Okay, so you're playing at Double Decker Records.
Yeah.
As if people are in Allentown or the Lehigh Valley know, a record store that was in the Lehigh Valley for the longest time closed a couple years ago.
Unfortunately, yeah, it was a great place. Jamie really had a great operation over there for a long time.
So you got to play in the store, and
We did, yeah.
did you play full band? Like
We did,
brought,
yeah.
brought in the amps and the drum kit?
Yeah, I remember specifically No Cash played with a band from New Jersey called The Hopeless Dregs of Humanity. And we were in like ninth grade, and it was like junior prom night. And I remember we played this show over there. I remember debuting a new song. We had a new song called Home Life is a Drag, and it was the first night we ever played it. And I remember everybody really like nodding their heads to it. It was cool.
Home life is a drag, deadly like a man. What? Is sadness like within your walls, like in mine, where I am confined to my room to hide from all of the bullshit I deal with. And they won't give in till I am crying. My eyes out of heaven, that I feel. Home life is a drag, deadly like a plague. Gotta get out of here, please. I lose my mood. Life is a drag, deadly like a plague. When everything I do's wrong, it's all my fault. They don't understand me and who I am. They'll never accept this is all who I am. And all I can do is never enough. I wish that for once they just got it. All life is a drag, deadly like a plague. Abandoned on watch, trains right away. All this and that, I waste on my back. No one will know me, so I will go on. I can't play, I could. How can I stop? There's no that I will out. Yeah, home life is a drag, deadly like a plague. If you live with anger and hate just like here, where I live in fear of losing my mind and killing you all, leaving no one behind. Trapped inside these walls with nowhere to go and nothing to do. I'm alone and depressed. Patience to the test. Dagger at my chest. Cut into my wrist to rip things off. My life is a drug. Play like a bug. Get out of here. I lose my mind. I can't play on food. Continent. Damn it. It's all in the food. Show's over, come home, and I'm all alone, with no one to talk to and no pot to smoke. Oh, life is a drag, deadly like a plague. I'll walk out the front door and never look back.
And then a bunch of buddies of mine from school who like kind of got involved with some prom party, they all ended up like getting busted at some like underage drinking party. And it was like a big thing and really bad. Like I think somebody ended up like getting their stomach pumped and all kinds of shit. And I just remember thinking like at the time, you know, here I'm this punk rocker, this young kid. All I cared about was skateboarding and playing punk rock. But like all the teachers, administrators, they're like telling me I'm the bad guy, you know? And then like I even understood at the time, like, this is something wholesome that's like keeping me away from that. And don't get me wrong, we did a little bit of drinking ourselves as well. But I understood like, you know, that they were wrong and that punk rock was good and that we weren't the criminals they wanted us to believe we were.
Yeah. You played in No Cash for a while and certainly made a big splash around here in the Lehigh Valley and also got outside of the valley too. And then you switch gears a little bit. You start going with Mad Conductor is the next project that you embark on. So that's a little different. That's not a punk band.
No, but we never really. Okay, so Mad Conductor it was hip hop mainly. Was like the primary genre.
Yeah.
But also very ska / reggae, or as I would say, although it's a lesser known musical genre, rock steady. Because that was my favorite of the Jamaican sound, was like 67 to 69 rock steady, which was ska music at half tempo. Mm-hmm. So real like. But then I figured out, and a lot of other people too, obviously, but if you put the boom, boom, the boom, boom, standard boom bap hip hop beat to the rock steady groove, it's perfect to rap over and really cool to play with the band too. So like in the studio, Mad Conductor would use samples, but then we would play with a live band.
Okay.
And we were all fresh out of the punk scene, so still playing very aggressively for what we were doing. And all of our friends were punks, so all the shows we played were punk shows.
Yeah.
It was still a raucous time, yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So you played full band.
Yeah, we did. Okay. At the peak, it was like a 6-piece band.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And were those shows, you said, you know, it was still felt very punk as far as the live performances. Was it different?
I would say in some ways more similar to No Cash than maybe would I, like people would still mosh, you know, and jump around and crowd surf and all that. And I know that still goes on a bit nowadays, but I think people have to be real hyped for it to reach that level of like action in the audience. But back then it was like every show. There was always a circle pit. There was always somebody trying to climb on top of bodies and crowd surf.
Yeah.
It was just kind of how we expressed ourselves at the time. It still exists, like I said, but then you wouldn't not see it. Mm-hmm. You know, it was always around. And so that's kind of how we would gauge, like, are these people actually into it? You know, they're not smashing each other off the walls and stuff. Like,
yeah.
Touring was always wild when you're a teenager and in your early 20s. It's just a wild adventure and you're just going nuts and everything seems just so intense. So we're down in New Orleans and this is our second time there. And we're supposed to, this is No Cash, talking 2004.
Okay.
And we're supposed to play this DIY space. I can't remember where it was. I tried to find an old flyer, but it's probably deep in the boxes at this point. Have it somewhere. It doesn't really matter because the show got shut down. Cops showed up. He violated the fire code. This building only holds like 50 people. You got like 75, 80 people jammed in here. Everybody's all bummed out. We're hanging outside and people are trying to pull some strings, find us a place to play. They find out about this show happening at, which was kind of, at the time, I would say, New Orleans' fun house. You know, here in Bethlehem, we have the fun house, like a real notable dive bar where a ton of great rock shows happen. in New Orleans at the time, it was Dixie Tavern. It was on Canal Street in Mid-City. And somebody's like, hey, there's this bill at Dixie Tavern. Like, they said that a couple of the bands can come play from here. So we loaded up all these cars, loaded up the van, people jamming into our van, strangers, all kinds of people, drive across town. And they're like, yeah, okay, you guys can play. Everybody's cheering. They're like, but you can't just bring your show in here. You're going to have to pay the cover as well. And these are young punks. They're like, we just spent our last like $5 to get into this DIY show. And I remember this kid stepped up and he was like, I was cutting lawns all week, mowing lawns, and I got paid cash today. I'll pay for everybody to get in. Everybody's cheering and like all but like hoisting them up on our shoulders, you know, like super happy. We're able to play. We get in, we set up. The place is just packed. I mean, I don't know if they had like a second like level or if people just figured out how to like hang on the walls, because there were just like 2 stacks of people in a 1-story room somehow. First chord we played, somebody stage dives, but not stage diving from the stage into the crowd, diving from like up on the wall somewhere onto the stage.
Oh, wow.
Just like body slams my amp, knocks it over, smashes everything. It doesn't work.
Oh, no.
And I just finished. We had 2 guitarists in the band, so I just sang for the rest of the set. And I remember just not caring at all. Like, I thought it was awesome. You know, it was just part of it. And that's how it was back then. It was like the rowdier, the better. And
so you told me before the interview, there's a Mad Conductor song that documents this show. What is that song called?
It's called Legendary Jams.
Legendary Jams.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hear a little bit of Legendary Jams, and we'll go out on that. But thank you so much, Chris Devlin from Headzo, and of course, No Cash and Mad Conductor. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Shamus. It's been fun.
Big red octagon, rock like Dr. John. Who to stop the song? Knock and stomp upon. Big red octagon, rock like Dr. John. Who to stop the song? By the legendary jams. It's Friday night, it's hot and it's humid. MC's about to take the stage and get stupid. A lousy dive bar in a lousy part of town, where shows are known to often get shut down. Capacity's 50, the crowd's 160, 195 if you count the crew with me. Tensions in the air, not the type to start a fight, the type to excite and cause the crowd to. We hit the first note and saw the blue lights flashing. Cops walked in the typical fashion.
Y'all can't jam cause you broke the fire code.
So mad I said hold me down before I explode. When someone yelled out that they knew another venue where the show was going down across town we could head to. We loaded up the trailer, people was the cargo. Bus behind the bus was like 36 carloads. An ill convoy rolled up to the spot. The headliner caught the flu so there was an open slot. I talked the manager into letting us do a set. Told him it was something he would not regret. Only problem was he said our fans had to pay the cover charge, but everyone was broken chugging at the other bar when the dude spoke up.
All week long, I've been working in the hot sun cutting lawn.
He produced an envelope with the needed funds, went ahead and paid the cover for everyone. The mob cheered and bum rushed the door. We jumped on stage, fans filled the floor. The band started jamming, the place went wacko. Bouncing up and down, almost knocked down the shack, yo. Big red octagon, rock like Dr. John. Who to stop the song? Knock and stomped upon.
Legendary Jams by Mad Conductor. And that's going to wrap up this edition of Tape Swap Radio.